Welcome to the new episode of Iconicity, a new podcast from Campari Academy.
Welcome to Iconicity.
I'm Monica Berg, and today I'm here with a very interesting mix of guests. We have Alex Ruach, who is the founder of Behind Bars Design Studio in Oslo, and Carlos Ergao.
Welcome to Iconicity.
From 31 Studio in Lisbon. And you're an architect by profession,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
And you're a self-taught-ish designer?
Yeah, I see myself as bartender first, and that learn how to become an entrepreneur per se, by experience, failure, and success, right?
But how do you see the two of you, when you go into a space, how would you explain the difference between what you do and what you do to someone who wants to build a bar, for example?
For sure. Should I go first?
Yeah.
Yeah, super. Well, I believe that in a project, the success of a project is through collaboration. I see Behind Bars as the functional operations mindset focus, and I see architect design studio as the form, function, and aesthetic view. Always mostly focus on the guest flow experience, and we focus in a very operational how to succeed in terms of bartender function, ergonomics. How can we make their vision reality in terms of is possible to build that piece of furniture so it can be visually attractive, and ultimately, because bars are businesses as well, not so only funs and giggles, is to create big outputs with a functional, beautiful piece of furniture. So that's kind of where we are in that sweet spot.
Yeah, I think at least the way we see it in the studio, like for us, is mostly like from project to project, we kind of have to understand the possibility of a new identity. For us is a lot, like the starting point is already that to understand what this restaurant or bar wants to say, what's the story behind, who is the owner, what kind of people we want here, and like a lot this idea of a clear identity that can create something interesting for the public. So for us, it's mostly about that as a starting point. And of course, we need to have a clear idea about practical stuff, ergonomics and all of that. But the possibility of collaborating with companies like Behind Bars and persons like Alex that have this amazing experience on working in a specific product for years makes them way more capable of understanding how a bar should work, especially in these matters of engineering, ergonomics, and it has been for us incredible experience to collaborate with them. Honestly, I think one of the best, if not the best company we have the possibility to collaborate with. But I think mostly is that we have to kind of readapt and recreate a little bit what we are doing in every project. And then it's amazing to have these inputs of companies like this that really work what they are doing in a specific product.
So it's almost like you do everything behind, as the name kind of indicates, like behind the bar. You do everything that a bartender needs to be able to do their job, and you do everything in front of the bar, everything that the guest will appreciate while there, whilst the guest might not even notice your work if you do it right.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the concept that we're trying to achieve. I see a big trend now, which is removing the bar by itself. And what does that mean? Well, it means like the experience is more close to the guest. For example, reducing the bar height to a kitchen-style bar, or making it more exposed into terms of putting an island and the bartender is working in the center instead of the bar. So it's actually more visual. So we're not hiding anything behind the bar. So aesthetically, we need to step up our game in terms of making a beautiful piece of furniture more than just hiding it behind an industrial piece of furniture. So I think, does that answer a little bit your question? I don't know.
It does, but in a way, like as a follow-up,
Yeah.
would you say that can a bar be a successful business without having the proper design thought go into it from the start?
Well, I would say yes or no. Can you maximize, your top potential? Maybe not, because a bar. We need to remember that a bar is nothing without a bartender, right? It's just a space with furniture. So the bar is what brings the soul, the experience, the service. So a bar can be successful if you have the right people. But the question is more, can you maximize your potential? Yes or no? Maybe you will be stuck by wishing you had better space, and it becomes very frustrating in terms of, I wish I could do so much better and I can't do it. And you're limited because of the space you have to work in. Maybe you don't have a big enough ice well, or maybe the bar is too long and you're breaking your back all the time. But I wouldn't define the success of the bar with great furniture. I would say that the furniture will help you differentiate yourself from the competition in terms of delivering best guest experience. But it's all about the people as well, I think. We are there to enable success, I would say, behind bars.
I believe, for example, this thing of the height of the bar is a very good example, because is this just about the design in like a static matter? I really believe it's not. Like, the height of the bar is also establishing what kind of relationship you'll have in between people, in between customer and staff. So it's a big decision, and it's totally like guiding what, for example, a bar wants to be, right? And if for us as designers we could, and it's something like when we were starting that we were telling to a lot of clients, like if we put this down, like people will feel much more connected with the bartender, all the atmosphere will be more cool. But it is normal that also for the comfort of the people working, for the bartenders, that people might want to have it higher, but then having the possibility for us to collaborate with behind bars, and also them having this experience of understanding what this can really mean also in terms of workflow and everything, can suddenly make these solutions efficient and working in all the aspects of what working might mean, So it's not just about design, and of course, people can have success in many different ways. But when talking about maximizing this, the possibility of that success, I think it will always be about having the right companies and persons doing what they do best. And it's something we have been talking a lot, also in the context of Lisbon, where Alex is also based now, and these possibilities of creating projects that are the results of these collaborations of people that are really interested and focused on what they're doing.
So from a design point of view, like if you look at the good, the bad, and the ugly, like what is something that you wish would be celebrated more? Like what is the good things that you're seeing now?
Welcome to Iconicity.
In bars, I think it's more, people are getting more aware of the potential that the bar has on an ownership perspective. And it's been very neglected, I think, especially projects. They are normally not built with the bartender first in the space. They are built with spreadsheets and visions. But I think bringing the bartender to the table early, I think that's happening a lot. And you see big hotel chains with new bar positions, bar director of a group, and they are actually involved in developing the concepts together with the architects and designers and so on. So I think that's something we need to celebrate. It's this advocacy of better working spaces. So I see better bars being built, which is really nice.
Yeah, I think that the story behind every business, every product is getting more and more and more relevant worldwide, I think. So I think in bars we see the same thing. Like, of course, it doesn't need to be like that everywhere, but for example, in the context of the city where we are working, I think more and more it's getting very relevant. Who are the people that are doing this? How are they doing? What kind of products they are working with? How are they getting these products? So I think there is a wider range of things that are getting relevant, and this makes everything maybe a bit more complex and a bit more interesting, and I think there is new possibilities for what can get somehow successful and interesting for the public.
What about the bad things?
The bad things. I would say the bad thing is when you spend, I don't know, 20,000 for a chandelier and don't want to spend 5,000 for a bar. I think that is really bad. It's being unconscious of the potential of your venue. And I think in terms of designing a bar, you should be thinking on the operation, how much I want output from this place, besides of the experience, the guest experience, and so on. And I think people sometimes don't have conscious about that because they want to impress. They want to make a fantastic venue, so they need to have the best thing in the market and so on. So I would say the bad thing is not investing in what really matters, which is how you're going to push those drinks out of the bar in an efficient way. I don't know. You probably have a different view.
No.
Okay.
I'll get your view and take it at mine also, because it makes it easier for me.
Yeah.
So yes, I believe that's a good point of view. When we were coming here, we were actually looking at the buildings and we were talking in the car, and I was telling Alex that it will be amazing, and I think this is something we are losing year by year. That we can see a little bit again architects as a kind of someone that is trying to do some kind of poetry in terms of construction and design, and I think we are losing this totally, this connection with and this conscious about execution, about production, about materials, about how things are done, how things can be smartly, cleverly thinked. So and we are being seen more and more as someone that is, I mean, like choosing furniture and carpets, and this really reduces what we are doing. The same way Alex was saying, like, and of course, there are people that have a different point of view, and it's amazing when we have these possibilities of working in environments where we are fully respected on what you are doing. But it might be complex, yes. Also because, like, even in terms of cost, the impact of what we are doing is huge. Sometimes we are talking about like our fees, and it's like it's crazy to even discuss it, knowing that the impact of something that we might think in 10 minutes can be so huge in terms of what this will create in terms of real material cost,
I have something to add. One thing that I really like about Studio 31 is the way they make design democratic in a way that you approach the space. Instead of having the most expensive thing, you kind of work with the space, and even in the furniture, you guys are very custom oriented. I think that's a great thing that you guys do.
So maybe not a bad thing then.
Bad thing,
Exactly.
yeah.
But what is like a myth that you want to debunk? What is
I'll let you start with that one.
a huge one is that good design means high costs. That's for sure. Not just on what it can. There is a British architect that had a beautiful sentence saying that there is nothing that is so lasting and so efficient and so as well thought and beautiful buildings. Because if you do something that is nice, even if you are just talking about aesthetics, people will not tend to demolish it in 50 or 60 years. So when we talk a lot nowadays about like green buildings and all these things, is also very relevant to understand how things that are well thought, that are flexible, that are ergonomic, that are beautiful, will last more in time and will generate so many good things,
Super. I was thinking while he was talking. I think it's this typical thing that bartender can do magic with anything. Here you go, a sink from IKEA and a bench. You need to produce 200 cocktails with 150 people. Like bartenders are a little bit of crisis management, magic makers. And I think that is not true. I think that we just put them in a position that is not healthy. and then that's what you see, like turnover of staff, because you're never happy at your workplace. And I think that's a myth that from ownership to people sitting in the office that has, because they never work the walk, never done a shift. They don't understand the value of standing 12 hours and serving people and having the same energy. So if we do better designs, we can potentially improve those things. So that I would say that's the biggest myth I would say don't do.
I would agree with that. So we have a final task to ask you, and that is just to not predict the future, but to contribute to the future in a small way. We have this message in a bottle. So if you could write down a little message to your future self, to your future bartender, whoever, and we'll read it out in a few months at the end of the season and see what happened in between.
Super, sounds good.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much.